Okay. Hey, everybody, I'm Joe McReynolds, writer-director of the film Inhumanity. This is Karl Anderson.
I play Raymond Nash.
All right. This is Javier Garcia, cinematographer, actor. And you're watching The 13th Wolfman.
Oh! Oh! Oh!
Hey everybody, it's 13th Wolfman. You know how with me today I have three guys from the movie Inhumanity. I have, I'm going to get it right, Javier Garcia, Karl Anderson, and Joe McReynolds. Welcome guys to sit down.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you.
I actually watched this today and it's a fun movie, man. I mean, it's a lot along the lines of like a lot of, it reminds me a lot of like Charles Bronson type stuff.
Nice.
You know?
Charlie Bronson.
You know, 10 to Midnight, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Gritty.
You know? Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like a 70s exploitation film with a little bit of, you know, a little bit of grindhouse thrown in there. Right. Was that the inspiration?
Yeah, I wanted to do something kind of made it feel kind of an older style film, kind of give it that 70s feel. We basically had one camera and a RE light kit, so I said, well, that's probably what they had in the 70s, so let's just go with it. And we kind of try to go for that aesthetic, and hopefully we captured some of it the best we can anyway.
I like the main bad guy, you know, six pack Sam. What a name! Takes a while to get to roll off the tongue.
I've heard several people say at first that they weren't kind of liking it, and then by the end of the movie they were really liking it. So it's just one of those things. I think it's a little bit different, but I think it grows on you.
So where'd the idea come from? So I mean, you're the writer. I mean,
yeah, I originally was going to do a short film. I wanted to do a serial killer style movie, but I wanted to kind of create a new character. And we were going to do a short film, and then you know, we just decided to expand it into a feature. But as far as the Six Pack Sam character came, I just wanted to try to kind of think of something just new, and I had researched some names and come across Son of Sam. I thought Sam was a pretty good name. I wanted to give my character obviously an MO of what he does when he kills these women, and I just came up with drinking the 6 bottles of beer and leaving them behind. This is kind of what he does, and that kind of felt like that's something the media would attach a name to, as Six Pack Sam. So I just kind of ran with that.
I'll be honest, when I heard from what the movie is, that I looked it up and I was like, they talked about Six Pack Sam, and I'm like, what's this guy do? Like, you know, carve abs into people or what?
He's actually in great shape, so it wouldn't be a bad name for him.
Is he a gym instructor? You know, I'm Six Pack Sam. Oh, a giant roid rage.
He definitely got the washboard, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well, you know, the original title of the film was Six Pack Sam, and then Rob Hochschild with Wild Eye, you know, he asked him about changing the names because of the same reason you came up with.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I said, well, yeah, that makes sense. You're right. I think we were just kind of attached to it as a working title for so long that we were just used to it. But he wanted to go with Inhumanity. So I thought that was a pretty good title. So that's what we went with.
Yeah. Now, Harvey, this is your second time working with Joe?
That's correct. Second feature film. The first one we did it several years back. And actually, Karl was the lead actor in that one, right, in our first movie. So all three of us, it's our second movie together.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So, I mean, have you always been a cinematographer, or is this just something you fell into, or?
The latter. I mean, I wanted to be an actor at first. I met Joe in a film class here in Austin. I didn't want to do the traditional acting route of, you know, auditions and, you know, working my way up. I kind of wanted to learn how to make movies, and then inject myself in my own movies. And in that class, me and Joe hit it off because everyone in that class wanted to be a director except me. So Joe kind of just, you know, he kind of pulled me in. He's like, "Oh, you want to be an actor? Well, like, you could be an actor. I'll direct you." And, you know, and we were both happy with that. And I was actually just an actor throughout, when we started with short films. But when we did the first feature, I kind of wanted to do some work behind the camera. And that kind of, Joe helped me out in our first feature. It was me and him both, doing cinematography, but he already had like 18 other credits. So he said, I'll just give you the cinematography credit. But yes, I think I really, I felt a lot more comfortable this time around with this movie, and working already with Joe. I kind of knew his style and what, that film noir look. He wanted some hard lights on there. So we kind of just took off with it.
And Karl, it sounds like these two men in class. Did you meet them in the same class?
No, I did not. I was working at I came from New York City, so by the time I got to Austin, I had a pretty good background. I did a lot of theater there. I actually wrote some plays, and when the film scene started kicking off here in the early '80s, and by about '07, people started having like the right equipment to actually make movies. And I was working at the Austin School of Film. I was running. I was kind of in charge of the programming there for the adult classes, and I had some cool teachers, and I also had a night where people would come in once a month and show their like a viewing night. And I don't know if that's where I met you or somebody introduced me to you guys, said you were making the burn.
No, I put out an email for just emailing some people to see if they were interested in, I was looking for an actor, and Karl, I think you responded, and I came and met you, and we talked, we hit it off.
Right.
And I was like, oh, you'll be perfect. Let's just do it. So that's how I met Karl. It's a beautiful story.
Wasn't quite sure how long it was going to be, and all of a sudden it just stops. Yeah. Like I said before, I like the movie. What was the hardest thing about making this movie? I mean, can each one of you answer that? Start with you, Joe.
Wow. I mean, take your pick. From scheduling to casting to pretty much everything. I can't think of anything that was more harder than just finding locations and casting. I think were the two biggest things that were the hard. I mean, we had 120 some people in this movie, I think, something like that. But Diana Rose is one of the lead actors. Her and Daryl, her husband, they really helped do the casting. They know a lot of actors in town. They were able to kind of like handpick people and say, hey, what about this person? What about this person? So that was great. And then also, tapping a lot of resources of friends around town that we knew for locations. And, that was the hardest part, is juggling schedules and locations. We weren't able to shoot this movie in a consecutive time period. We had to kind of shoot it in chunks and whenever we could, per se. So that was probably the hardest thing. And then post-production, dealing with the sound was always the hardest thing.
That's the one thing you got to get right. In my opinion, when it comes to independent movies, I can put up with shaky camera to a point, but if you got crappy sound, I'm not going to pay attention to the movie at all.
No one is. Yeah. No one is. You have to fix the sound, or else you don't have anything.
We ended up ADRing, I think, about 80% of this movie. We ADR'd it, and then did what we could on the sound side. Then I sent it to Philip Raves in Seattle, a sound guy up there, and he mixed it down for us and did some Foley work and kind of filled in the holes. And then Tony Longworth out of the UK, he did the score for the film. So
wow,
yeah,
he's got everyone from everywhere working on it.
Tony's great. I mean, Tony, a lot of I'd say 90% of the music that's in there is just straight up stuff he came up with. Original. It's all original.
For the movie, right?
For the movie, yeah. He just we would chit chat and Skype and talk, and then he would send me some stuff, and then I'd say, no, I don't like this, blah blah blah, and he'd send me some more stuff, and then finally we did that for about a year and a half, I guess.
It's got to be expensive.
Tony did me good on the cost, so he's got the soundtrack available now for sale.
Fast, cheap, good, pick two.
That's right.
But what about you, Javier? What was the hardest thing for you about doing this movie?
Well,
Don't say working with me.
Yeah.
Besides
and
that,
Joe always wanted his hard lights. I wanted to throw in some soft lights here and there, but no. I think really the hardest part would come from the grip department. We didn't have any generators. We didn't have, our light kit was still kind of robust in a sense, but a lot of the times we couldn't use all the lights because we didn't have enough, wattage. And I didn't have like a key grip that was there all the time working all that out. So I didn't come from that background. So, it was always a challenge, how many lights we can use. But for the most part, we kept it kind of simple and used a lot of natural lights or ambient light. And that kind of helped us out. We had a lot of really fast lens, so that allowed us to, film in low light, but still, not leave any dark corners in there that will cause like pixelation and all that stuff. But as Joe said, scheduling and all that, has really nothing to do with cinematography. But I think the low budget aspect of getting everyone together in one place and having different teams working together, that was probably the hardest thing, and the long hours on some of these sets. I think the cinematography aspect of it for me and Joe, I don't think we had a lot of fun with it. So I don't think that was any. I think really just the lights and the grip department was kind of the hardest thing in that aspect. But I think everything else outside of cinematography was the hardest, or what we struggled the most with.
I don't know. Sometimes he'd set some lights up and then move them. He'd get really mad at me. It's like, I just set all those lights up. Yeah, I don't like them. We're going to move them. He's like, well, why did I set them all up? The way I see what it looks like first before I can start moving them around.
What'd you move that for?
Yeah.
Well, Carl, what about you, man? Since you're an actor, I mean, you pretty much had to deal with being in front of the camera. Must have been something difficult about that.
Really, the time in between, that's what makes it hardest when you get a character together and you do some shooting on a weekend, and then it's maybe not for another 2 or 3 months, and now you're shooting again, or like I'm not, or whatever. It's very sporadic, you gotta get back in there, and just it's when you're if you have 3 or 4 weeks, 5 weeks to shoot, and you're like, okay, I can stay in character more, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I got away with it.
That's why we only hire talented actors.
That's really got to be tough. I mean,
Yeah.
When you think about making it that way, having to jump in and out of that character, every now and then.
There's something about the way I was taught. Dana Wheeler Nicholson, who is a really fine actress that came from the Actors Studio. She was in Tombstone, and she was in Fletch. You would remember her as the cute young blonde in Fletch. Dana Wheeler Nicholson. She was my acting teacher, and what's my point? Like it's sort of like you sign into your character. It's like while the movie's going on, whether you're shooting or not, that character's still sort of living inside of you until you sign out. So it's like, oh, I'm this crazy, quirky Raymond guy for 3 years.
2.5.
Yeah.
Wow. So is that how long it took to make the movie? 2.5 years?
Yeah, about 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Rob picked it up last year for Wild Eye Releasing, and I guess around this time last year. So it's been about a year since he's had it, to release it. So yeah, about 2.5 years. We did some screenings last year at the Alamo Draft House. We did 4 screenings. They sold out. Those went really well. And then, Rob was interested in it, so we signed with Rob. We've been to a couple of film festivals here and there, but for the most part, we weren't really too concerned about doing the festival run since we already had distribution. So
Texas is really exploding with the film festivals and stuff.
They have some film festivals here for sure. They're pretty much everywhere now.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I think everywhere is exploding with the film festivals. But yeah, they have of course, the Austin Film Festival. There's the the Austin Revolution, Revolution Festival here, South by. Fantastic
Fest, which is coming up. Yeah.
So that's 4 I can just think off the top of my head just here in Austin.
I mean, I'd never even heard of some of those, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, about 10 years ago, South by Southwest became like the big thing, and I was everywhere, and I was like, "Wow, that's really cool."
Is that how long it took to get to the East Coast?
West Coast?
North? West Coast.
You're on the West
On the
Coast.
West Coast.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's been getting bigger and bigger. I've been here for 23 years watching it go. The film festival wasn't very big at all 23 years ago. It's I don't know. It's not quite considered like the Toronto or Cannes, but it's certainly right underneath it.
Yeah, Southwest, it started off as a music thing, and then they had some film action going on there too, and then it just kind of grew into some film stuff. But now it's turning into like this. Basically, it's a big party every year that all the famous people come to, and I don't think anybody knows what it does really anymore. Everyone just comes here and parties really hard. And then they throw a lot of swag out, and the tech people get together and show all these new little things they got going on, and they show a few films, they play some music, and then everyone leaves.
I mean, it doesn't help that they do it during like spring break, so everybody's already in that mood of partying. So
it's basically turned into Sundance, Texas.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Yeah, I think a lot of movies, more and more movies are getting distribution from South by. It's a lot bigger than it was, even 5 or 10 years ago.
They launch a lot of movies from here too. It's not just always these independent films. It's more like these higher, bigger budget films with big name actors. It's a launching pad for them to get the films out there because there's so much attention on South by Southwest now every year. So it's turning into more of a huge marketing launch pad for a lot of these films.
Did you guys show the film at South by Southwest?
No, we weren't done with it when it was time to enter it, and by the time we were finished with it, South by was already done. I think South by is in March, I believe.
Yeah.
So we were finished with the film last year, I guess around just before March. So we didn't really have time to get it into South by. We would have had to try to rush it. And, since I was doing all the editing, I wasn't rushing it.
No.
Right.
It wasn't worth it.
But still, like I said, Texas is just not just with the film festivals, but with movie makers. There's another movie maker down there, Billy Pond, who put out Circus of the Dead.
Okay.
Awesome movie. He's a writer director. He's also a Jimi Hendrix. He's in a Jimi Hendrix tribute band.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
What does he? Does he play the guitar or?
He plays guitar. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, Billy Pond. If you ever get, I think he's down in Odessa.
Okay.
Oh, Odessa. Okay.
So I don't know where that is compared to where you guys are. So.
Well, everything's really far apart in Texas.
Yeah.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know where that is.
Yeah. Like we're next to San Antonio, but that's about an hour away. Houston's 3.5 hours from us. So is Dallas. El Paso is really far away. But yeah, Texas.
This is like West Texas.
I think
like
this is West, 5 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm an East Coaster, really. I never. Austin's fantastic. Been to Dallas quite a bit to do some TV work and to see some gigs in Houston and San Antonio. But other than that, West Texas once or twice. I ain't gonna go. Look for nooks and crannies in Texas.
I'm not sure how we would do on the Smarter Than a Fifth Grader geography in Texas. That's for sure.
That's okay. I probably wouldn't do that well for Washington. I mean, there's still. I heard a town not too long ago, and I'm like, where the hell is that? How come I've never heard of that town in this state? And I looked it up, and it's like in the lower southeastern corner, out in nowhere. And I'm like, that's why, because I've never been there.
Never been to that. Don't know it.
Yeah, there's
never been to that part of the state.
Yeah. A lot of little towns in Texas like that.
So, I mean, obviously, you guys are huge film fans. I mean, you must have been to get into it. But what are some of the people that influenced you growing up?
Oh man, influenced me growing up. I have to say, I guess, as from a filmmaking standpoint, I don't know. You know, I used to watch a lot of the Sergio Leone films when I was a kid. They used to come on TV all the time. The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, things like that. I was a huge Western fan when I was a kid because that's what we had. I mean, that's what was showing on TV on the weekends. You know, it was lots of Westerns. So I watched a lot of Westerns and whatever was on TV. But I don't know if I really had anything, specific that really drove me to filmmaking when I was a kid. I really started getting interested in it more in my late 20s, I think. I became more interested in it. Yeah. What about you guys?
Well, for me, until I took that class where I met Joe, it was all about acting. I didn't know anything about directors or movie making. It was just really about it was all about acting. So, one second, I think the light.
Did that mess it up on your end?
Yeah, I mean it went dark over there.
It's a little darker.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that brighter than it was before?
Oh yeah, you wanted to be an actor until they put the lights in your face.
That's good. But I think what I was heavily influenced by, again after that class, I started looking at movies a little different. I even went back and saw some movies that I liked growing up, again just to kind of take it in from a different point of view, different angle. But I don't know if you're familiar with Guillermo del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth. That movie is what got me going in the cinematography aspect. I was very, very impressed by the cinematography and the editing. It has really good editing also. That's what made me want to get behind the camera a little more and test that out.
I love Del Toro. I just can't pronounce his first name.
Yeah.
So I have the hardest time pronouncing. Yeah. Now you can do it.
You could do it.
Don't even
It's
try.
the R's, the rolling rolling R's. Yeah, it's hard.
But you,
What
Carl?
about you, Carl?
Certainly, when I was in high school and I saw Escape from New York, that was a big, Snake Plissken, Kurt Russell. I remember looking at that and being like, my God, that's like really looks like something I'd like to do. By the time I was really getting into it in college, it was Mickey Rourke and Gary Oldman and Sean Penn and Jack Nicholson, and I always liked Quint. That might be my favorite role ever from Jaws. Robert Shaw. Just the salty dogs, the character actors.
I mean, now that you mentioned that, I do vividly remember as a kid, loving Escape from New York and Warriors.
Yeah, Warriors as well.
Yeah.
Well, and Escape from New York had that really just that the whole set alone was cool. The whole art direction in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Escape from LA was pretty funny. The tsunami. But yeah.
It's a favorite movie of mine. Escape from New York, Carpenter, Russell.
The Thing too, yeah.
Oh yeah, The Thing's great.
The Carpenter Russell 3 trilogy was every one of those was amazing. Big Trouble in Little China.
I love Big Trouble in Little China. I was about to mention that one.
I didn't know that was them.
Yeah,
that was Carpenter also.
Actually, they made 4 movies together.
it was the other one.
This is Elvis.
This is Elvis.
I haven't seen it.
Is that early?
That's about 79.
Okay.
Oh.
Interesting.
Kurt Russell played Elvis Presley, and John Carpenter directed. It was more of a made-for-TV movie, but
I remember that, but I didn't realize that was Carpenter. Wow. Cool. Nice.
We've learned something today.
Yeah,
We're
for sure.
learning a lot.
It doesn't sound like a Carpenter movie.
No, but that's all right.
yeah, it's true. But I mean, it's kind of funny when you think about it. It's like John Carpenter's like all about music when it comes to his music. It comes to his movies, so.
True. For sure.
Well, so you said the movies. When did the movie come out?
August 14th, it was released on DVD. It'll be streaming here pretty soon, hopefully. I think we're waiting for the streaming to kick in. But it's available on DVD at Walmart. You can walk in any Walmart store and buy it. You can order it online at Amazon, at Walmart, Best Buy, Grindhouse Video, Family Video. And then when it streams, it'll be streaming on Amazon, Google Play, Xbox, what else? Overdrive Media, and Vudu. So
it's going to be everywhere.
Yeah, it's a lot of spots. I'm excited about that.
I want to thank you
it's
guys.
pretty cool right now that it's in Walmart. It's really cool it's in Walmart. Everyone's been going and buying copies of it at Walmart, which is pretty cool. I went to go to Walmart and buy a copy. My kids thought I was crazy. I'm like, why are you buying a movie that you made? You have that at home. Like, one day you'll understand, kids. It's just kind of cool. I'm going to buy this movie.
One day you'll understand, Dad. They want to support Pop.
Yeah, that's right. Well, they're gonna. I think they take my money and then probably buy it for them. I guess one day they'll make their own money. That'd be great.
They are only 4. No, I'm just kidding. They're older than that.
Well, I do want to thank you guys for coming on and sit down. I'm looking forward to hearing all about the great stuff that happens with this movie. If people are looking for you on some social media somewhere, where can they find you? Joe, go.
We're located on Facebook for sure, and Instagram and Twitter at Inhumanity Movie. So that's the handle for all of our social media. So I'm pretty active on Facebook, and I'm trying to get going on Twitter and Instagram. I do what I can, but my fiance is really trying to help get me. She's much more into the pretty pictures on Instagram. Yeah. She's trying to teach me how to do it. But those are the social media handles that you can get us at. And if you want to send us an email for any reason, we're at inhumanitymovie@gmail.com. And you can go to inhumanitymovie.com. And I have the links there for any place you can buy a DVD right now. So,
and Javier.
Well, I mean, my personal one, Instagram is at Javi Cohen, JAVICOEN, and Facebook. I mean, it's kind of hard to find me on Facebook because it's Javier Garcia, and there's like a lot going on. But I mean, if you go to the Inhumanity social media, we're all over that. You know, you can easily find me that way.
And Carl.
I got a Facebook, Karl Anderson, Karl with a K, and I don't know what my Instagram is. Karl Andersonius, I think. I think it's Karl Andersonius.
It's so ridiculous that I can never find it. I don't know why you would do that. It was like, what is freaking Carl's Instagram?
It's the same as my email,
which is crazy too. Okay,
Andersonius.
I don't even know what that means. Andersonius.
It's like an old Roman thing. Wait, I'll tell you what it was. When I first got my Yahoo account, like 18 years ago, I was like trying to get Karl Anderson at Yahoo, and they're like, that's already taken. Try Karl Anderson ES. And I was like, I like the ring of that, you know. So
it's actually a Yahoo suggestion.
Yeah, Yahoo.
Your whole life is a Yahoo suggestion.
Right? I was like, I'll take it.
It's all Yahoo's fault.
You're still using Yahoo too, aren't you?
I am still using Yahoo. Yeah. I can't remember. I'm sure I have some other presences out there, but
I'm sure AOL was hot for you.
Exactly.
So, for Carl, Joe, and Javier, of course, I'm the 13th Wolfman. I want to thank them again for coming on, and I'm on the prowl.
Thanks, Wolfman.
Thanks for having us, man. We appreciate it.
All right.
For sure.